It's it's live now. Okay, so welcome back to the Liberia Life live series. Tonight we're going to be talking about employment 101, everything about resumes, traits, different things like that. Really more focused on resumes, but also just doing things that align with you. Honestly, that's at the core what I want to get it to. Make it tailored towards you, even your resume. Because honestly, I want to say this. I'm getting sidetracked, but I've been doing a lot of interviews and I've been working with a lot of companies who have been doing interviews, and a lot of people are saying like it's very cookie cutter. Like you can tell when somebody has taken a class, like they have the same answers. Like what's your weakness? Like you giving people giving the same answers, not they're not being authentic. The resume is not authentic. The interview is not authentic. You don't really know this person. And that becomes a problem too. But yeah, that's a problem in the interviewing phase. Even if you don't want to be a business owner and you are looking for something that aligns with whatever you want in this life, I'm gonna say be authentic in it. But can you tell me about yourself? Which we did have you yesterday, but if somebody's just watching this video, can you tell us about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. So my name is Amanda Donald Phillips, but everybody calls me ADP. I'm currently a district manager for Aldi. I've been there for what'll be 2 years this January. I have a master in human resources and industrialization. And then I also have two bachelor's degrees, one in sociology, one in African and African American studies. And recently, utilizing my background and my passion, I'm launching Scholar Stew. Our go live date is tomorrow, and essentially what it is a service that it helps students. Now, students of all ages, you can be 18, you can be 58. Literally, it's for everyone. It helps you either with college, with essays, with resumes, any application help you might need. It's all of those services combined. So, super excited to talk to you all today.
Okay, and at any moment, if you guys have any questions or comments, please drop them in the comments and I will be looking out for them because Amanda has a presentation that she's going to present, and hopefully it'll answer most of the questions that may need to be answered. And I'm just going to say, even if it's not live, at any moment on YouTube, if you have a question or any comments, you can always drop them there because I will be checking that space to answer any questions that you may have. But are you ready for me to add the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Perfect.
Mhm.
All right. So this is Resume and Career 101. As I said, my name is ADP. I'm super excited to talk to you today. Like Sierra said, if at any point you have any questions or anything like that, please do ask. This is meant to be interactional. And then I'll provide you with my contact information should you have any further questions after the presentation. All right, so I quickly walked through my background, so I won't spend too much time here. But as I mentioned, I'm a district manager for Aldi. I've been there for a little over a year and a half, almost 2 years. Here are the two schools that I attended. So Dartmouth College, it's one of the top private institutions. It's an Ivy League institution. I picked it because it was my dream school, and I'm so blessed to have been there and gotten that opportunity. And then I also went to the University of Illinois down at Urbana-Champaign, which is actually the number one program for the Master of HR. So super excited for that. Was excited for that at the time because that's one of the top public institutions. And then a fun fact: why you should trust me? Trust me. I graduated from two top universities debt free. So this coincides well with the live from yesterday. So if you didn't get to watch the scholarship live, I would definitely go back and watch it because it had a lot of good information. But this, I won't say it's the next step, but it does play a role in any of that. Any of your resume, any of your employment, any of your career advancement. So job history, this is just to further prove why you should trust me. So some of the places I've worked, I've actually had a lot more experiences than this, but I just summarized some of the large points. So I was an HR intern for PepsiCo. This was right before I graduated with my master. I was also at Tigis, which is a tech company that's based here in Chicago. So I did some recruiting for them. So they kind of taught me a lot about what to look for in a good resume, what to look for in a good interview, all of the things. And then I've worked at career centers at both of the institutions that I attended. All right. So again, if you were at the scholarship live, sorry, this is a bit redundant, but for our new folks, I won't spend too much time here because I do want to make sure we have a lot of time to talk about, resume and employment, which is what we came here for. But a little bit about Scholar Stew. So at Scholar Stew, we believe every student deserves access to resources that make college possible. It's like a good stew blends the right ingredients. We mix together guidance, tools, and encouragement. Again, student is any student of any age. You're constantly learning. You could be 90 and still be considered a student. So don't feel like this is just for folks who are following that traditional path. If at any point you need the knowledge or the education, it is there. And then we're a lot more than just scholarship search. So as I mentioned, we offer resume help, essay help, pretty much anything you can think of that is school or career adjacent. I offer it. And our mission is simple. We serve opportunity and service to students everywhere with the right recipe of support to help make your dream a reality. All right. And this year, you feel free to chime into it.
I will. I feel like players right now is just getting them warmed up. So it's good if people are just joining now. But everything you're saying is really valid. But yeah.
Thank you. So this is about career finding. So there are so many options for careers. Where to start? I'll be honest. It can be overwhelming. It can feel daunting. It can feel scary. It can feel all the things. But I will say people change careers all the time. I was telling the folks on yesterday's live that I actually thought I was going to be an engineer. Hated it. I didn't make it 1 week. I'm like, this is not for me. It's for somebody, and they're important, and there's no knock on them. But I knew that wasn't for me, even the role that I'm doing now. So I have a background in HR, but I'm technically doing operations. So I'm utilizing my degree, it's just in a different way. So, like, where to start? What I did when I realized that I was not going to be an engineer, I had a guidance counselor who told me about a career finding test. And I was 18 at the time, so I didn't know anything about that. I'm like, I don't know what this lady's talking about, but I'll look into it. So I did the one, I think the one I did was the Princeton review. So it asks essentially what the test is. It asks you different questions about yourself. It'll ask some things about your personality. It'll ask some things about your working style, and it will ask pretty not random questions, but it's questions that you wouldn't necessarily think actually do play a role in your career. For example, if you hate talking to people, you're not going to make it as an HR professional because that's what you do all day. You talk to people all day, every day. Maybe something more aligned with an office job is for you, or like if you know you're super outgoing, okay, keeping you people facing will be something that's super important. So maybe it's hospitality. So you just have to do some soul searching and figure out what you like, what you don't like, and these are different tests that'll help you to do that. And they're all free of charge. You don't have to submit anything, and they will give you a list of careers. Now, we talked again. Well, we just talked previously about what these tests do. So I just want to further emphasize how they can really be a nice starting point. Like, let's say you are starting your career and don't necessarily know what you want to do. They can help with that. Let's say you're already in your career, you're feeling stuck, you feel like you've outgrown it. It happens. It happens to the best of us. I know Sierra has pivoted from where she first started as far as her background and her professional journey is different. So it can help point you in the right direction if you're feeling like you've hit a roadblock. And then it can also help you if you feel like you've hit a roadblock in your current career and you're just looking for something new. It also can help to confirm what you think is true. So a lot of the ones I took before I knew what I wanted, I'm like, okay, I like working with people. I like to talk. I really do enjoy to laugh. I thrive off of interaction. That's my favorite thing. And I knew that before I took the career test. And when it told me like HR or law or something related to people planning, when they said that that's what I should be doing, I'm like, they weren't lying. Like, this is perfect.
And I think it's also like what I was talking about earlier. A lot of times people are not passionate about it whatever they're doing, and it shows. Like it can show up in the interview. It can show. So some in I think we talked about the engineering, and me. I thought I was going to be a teacher before the live yesterday. So I thought, I went into school thinking teacher, and like I said before, it was like, or maybe law, and I said once, maybe neonatal nurse, but maybe it wasn't live. But I'm like, it wasn't for me, and I'm happy that I was able to navigate. And that's the thing about life. Don't be scared to pivot. Like I don't know where I heard that word before, but it was in the same terms. Like don't be scared to pivot in life. Don't be scared to start over or do something new. And if you don't know where to start, you're like, man, I want to do something new, but I don't know. Like these things didn't come up out of nowhere. They're here for a reason. And career tests have been here since I don't know for how long. They've been around for a long time because it does help guide people. So yeah, do those things. Because I was gonna say, I know it sounds cliche, but I'm all about cliches. So do the career finder test. Like that's a perfect start. But keep
It is. It's definitely a perfect start, and it's free. It doesn't harm you at all. Like think about, we talk about it all the time. When you're seamlessly scrolling on social media, you got 10 minutes to see what so and so was doing last night, what outing they were at, what trip they're on. Like I don't know. I take social media with a grain of salt. I'm not against anybody who there. Some people are heavily involved. Some people are influencers. Some people, that's how they make a living for their family. No knock on it. I take it with a grain of salt because people are going to show you what they're going to show you. So if you got time to be looking at what other people are doing, you have time to invest in yourself and figure out what it is, to put you in the right direction, to put you in the right room with the right people and have the right conversation. So I'm a stickler on that, because you could tell me all of what so and so did and what they're buying and what they're doing, but you don't know about yourself. I think sometimes you get lost into other things. So you want to recenter that focus onto you and things that you can be doing for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you can keep going.
Okay. All right. So after the career finding test, now you've taken the test, you got the results. What's next? So that's where you'll begin your job search. So let's say the career finder test, they typically won't give you like 10 or 15, which is great because you don't want to be overwhelmed. They typically will give you 2 or 3. So when you start your job search, you can kind of start to look for jobs that are similar to the jobs that they've listed. So when I say similar, different companies will call different roles different things. It could be the same exact role, same exact pay. One company is going to call it one thing, another company will call it another. So when you start your search, you want to put together different keywords of what it could be. Like let's say you want to do something clinical. Maybe something might say clinician versus something that says clinical assistant. They could be very similar as far as the jobs that you're going to do, but again, different companies refer to different things as such. So when you start to narrow that down, what I first did, I literally I had like a notebook where I was just like writing stuff down. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm typing this in. This company has this role. This company has this role. I'm putting all of that down. So when I go look for jobs, I already have the title. So you want to do that based off of the result from your career finding test. And then, you have to think too, once you start to get those titles down, you got to think about the type of job that you're looking for. Are you looking for an internship, something full-time, something part-time? So an internship, these are typically over the summer, but it could be at any point of the year. I've had internships in the winter. I've had internships in the fall. Most of the internships that I have been in the summer, but again, you can get one any time of year. Or maybe you looking, go ahead.
I was going to say, and also with internships, a lot of people think internships are just for college students, and it's not. It's to get experience even after you recently graduated and you can't. And a lot of people are against internships because it doesn't pay, but it's a lot of grants for you to get that experience. And honestly, I'm thinking right now, and I know it's funny. I don't know if anybody watched it, but did you ever watch the movie? I think it's called Interns with Google, and they intern, And I'm like, a lot of times, yeah, a lot of people want to intern. I mean, a job with these big companies, but they feel like, I don't know, start as an intern, like, and you apply for a grant to cover you while you get to do something you love, but right now you don't have the opportunity to get in there the employment way. You can now get in a way through intern and show your work, so they'll just hire you, like that. But Yeah. Keywords are important, what you talked about. Caseworker, case management, is a lot of those different types. But like you said, get all the keywords because I'm sure you'll talk about it. That's going to be important for your resume. And like you said, the type, I mean, the job title might change, but the description is the same because those descriptions, you want those words in your resume.
100%.
Far into here. Yeah.
No, you're okay. You're okay. It's perfect. It weaves together perfectly. You can't talk about one without talking about the other. But yes, internships are an amazing way to get in somewhere and to get hired on. Internships are a way for the company to interview you, but also for you to interview the company. Anywhere that I've interned, if I didn't go back, it's because I didn't want to go back. It's like, okay, this is a great place, but I'm a stickler on it needs to feel 100% right for me. If I'm going to be doing something, for that amount of time, a lot of people spend more time at work than they do with their family. Like that's just the harsh reality of how things are. Like if you, let's say you have a family, if you're married, your spouse is going to go to their respective job for 8-9 hours out the day, not including their commute. You're going to do the same. If you have kids, same thing. They're going to daycare, they're going to school. So, by the time you're getting home, it's like, okay, you should feel fulfilled. And the companies that I was at, nothing against them. Great people, they're still part of my network. There's still people that I talk to all the time, but you're shopping a company.
The alignment has to be there. Like people don't, the alignment has to be there, or it's going to interfere with your energy, which is going to interfere with your mental health, which is going to cause you to have depression, anxiety, and all those things. Because this is therapy through employment 101. But yeah, it's real. What you do for a living, it does influence and impact you mentally, physically, and spiritually. That's just the truth.
100%. And I was like, well, I don't want to do this forever. Like it was cool for the time being, but and not that it's forever because you're not committed to a job, but like it's a big commitment. And I'm the type of person when I go to do something, I'm not going to want to quickly change. If I have the control over it, like you want to make decisions that make sense. You don't want to just be doing something just for the sake. I didn't want a job to say I had a job. Like I'm very intentional about it. Now, you can make all the decisions that you think are great in the world, and then when you go, it could be a totally different thing. That's fine too. Like the job that I'm in, I love what I do, but I know for a fact that long term, it's not something that I'm going to be able to sustain, and I know that. And there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's an end to a means, and that's what you have to know. Though you have to know that about what you're doing. Like know that this whatever, because sometimes we do have to make sacrifices. And if it becomes too self-sacrificing, it means it's time to walk away. But until it gets there, you have your ends already in mind, and you have a timeline. You have things in place for whatever you want next in this life.
100%. 100%. Mm-hmm. And one thing I didn't talk about that I want to talk about before we move from this slide is the dedication that it takes when you're trying to figure out what that alignment looks like, when you're trying to figure out what's next for you, when you're trying to figure out what makes sense. The process is long and hard. You might make a decision, your first job, it might not be your forever job. I've seen it both ways. I've seen people get a job right out of college. They're still there 20 years later. I've seen somebody go for a year or two. It's not for them. They pivot. But the more you put into your job search, the more you're going to get out. The more intentional you are, the better, and the more honest you are with yourself, the better as well. Like I'm a stickler for if you have boundaries, don't change any of that. Don't try to be like, oh, I can just do this because it's for a job. Like, no, knowing what I know now, looking back, I wouldn't have done that for any job. You shouldn't feel like you have to change anything. If you know you have a strict boundary or something that doesn't work for you, you don't have to do it for the sake of a paycheck. Like you're not at anybody's liberty for any money. And like, yes, you need to work to survive. I'm not saying sit up there, let your bills pile up or not take care of what you need to take care of. I'm not saying that, but don't feel like anybody owns you because of a paycheck. You should never feel like that. So make sure you're honest with yourself about what you sustain. Because at the end of the day, this is what you're doing. Even if it's just for a month, you will never get that time back. So if you're working 9 to 5 at a place you hated, you were suffering for an entire month, you'll never get that month back. So you want to, be as intentional as possible. And again, you could go to a job and it could be totally different from, the experience you had when you were interviewing. It happens. it does happen, but you have to figure out, you know, what that looks like for you. And if you need to pivot, that's okay too. You got a job once, you can get one again.
Mm-hmm.
And then after yesterday's live, I was talking with Sierra and I realized that I didn't talk about trades. So a lot of what I talk about, you know, is on the, I try not to say professional side because you can still be professional within a trade. So a lot of my focus is on corporate America, but I have worked with folks who go and do a trade. So corporate careers are not the only way to be successful. You know, there are plenty of ways that you can make a living. There are plenty of ways where you can do what makes sense for you. Sitting in the office is not for everybody. Wearing a suit and tie every day is not for everybody, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you can't be professional. It doesn't mean that you can't have a career that you're investing in. It just means that, hey, you have to be honest with yourself about what it is you will and will not do. For example, anybody with a trade, whatever price they name, I'm paying because that's not me as a person. I'm not a plumber. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not even going to go in there and pretend like I do. I'm calling somebody, name your price. I got you because I just can't. That's not my area of expertise. Same thing with beauty. I cannot do hair. I was not blessed with those hands. I pay my beautician faithfully. Whatever she's saying, I got you because that's not my area. So trades are super important because these are services that people need. And you just, again, some people they get it naturally. Some people are just passionate about learning, and some people just really invest the time. So some of the trades that are common to me, but these are not the only ones. But when you think beauty, I'm thinking hair, skin, and nails. Those are trades. You can go to cosmetology school, and I've seen cosmetologists who make millions of dollars a year. Like somebody, there's an influencer who she loves hair. She's made a business off of selling hair, and now her bundles are super duper popular. So if that, you just have to find your passion and make it work for you. I just talked about plumbing. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, honestly, as you're talking about it, most trades, they're where people are going into entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
So, but I feel like this is something good to have with especially with the college and the scholarships and the grants, because there's a lot of programs out there that will help pay for these trades. But a lot of people who do trades go into entrepreneurship, and that's a whole nother story. But that's maybe why you don't really help as many people who went into trades, because they're going into entrepreneurship and they don't really, I mean, people have resumes like that as far as if they want to do speaking. It depends on what level of business that you're putting yourself in, honestly. So, and then sometimes people with trades are coming back to corporate careers. And we got to be creative in how we present this resume to the corporate companies.
Yeah, that's 100%. I've actually seen that happen. I was working with a truck driver who's like, I'm done with the trucking life. Like, I just had a baby. I'm on the road too much. Help me find a job that's more stable. And we worked like constantly, continuously, because the experiences you have, it's not about what you did. It's how you're able to talk about it, how you're able to put that into words, put it into writing, and to fully encapsulate that experience of, hey, this is what I was doing. This is how I was making impact. Like, you have to be super intentional about that. So that's what we'll talk about, you know, in the next couple of slides, like how to pick what to talk about, what to put in the actual resume, how to craft your resume. These are things that are super important because, again, the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want to do. If you want to go be the CEO of a company, you can do that. If you want to go be the CEO of your own company, you also can do that. You just have to know how to, market yourself. Presentation is everything, 100%. You just have to feel confident when you're putting yourself out there. And in a lot of ways, your resume, that's your first impression. That's your first introduction to somebody. That's the first thing that they're going to see about you. So as much as people don't realize how important they actually are very, very important, because a lot of time you don't actually get to speak to anybody. They're seeing your resume. So your resume has to speak for you. And then, if they're liking what they're reading, then of course you'll get the opportunity to speak with somebody and, plead your case and all these things. But you got to make sure that they rocking with the resume, because if they're not rocking with that resume, you're crickets. You're not going to hear from anybody anymore.
And you got to make sure, which you will be talking more about this, I know, when we get to resumes. You got to make sure the resume and the personality match, honestly. And I'm not trying to say it like that. My resume don't look like what I look like, but my resume looks like my personality. It's me. Like it's my resume is 100% me. And when people meet me, they're like, "I was so intrigued," and now I'm even more intrigued. Like that's what my resume is really me. It's very diverse though. But make sure it's you. Don't try to of course you want to align it and how, but make it align in a way that is realistic. Unless it's honestly you just come in here so you can get paid. But I feel like a lot of us actually, I had a conversation with somebody and they said, um, they said the number one cure for depression is, or the answer is to quit my job because that's how much, so how many people are staying in a job that they hate. And I'm like, if you're going to apply to a job, make sure it's something that you are willing to do. Because when you hate your job, you end up taking it out on your family and things like that. And I'm just like, make sure it is aligned. So when you do go apply to whatever the company is, you can really say why and how you can be beneficial toward this company.
I echo all of that 100%. Very well said.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then before we get into the resume, I just want to talk about a couple of tools and resources because I'm spending so much time talking about how to find a job because the resume doesn't do you any good if you don't have anywhere to put it. So in a lot of ways, you want to look for things that you want to apply to first because that'll depend on what you're going to put in that resume. Like let's say I'm going back to the clinical assistant example. Let's say there's one thing that you've been seeing. You've looked at now 5 of those job descriptions. You're seeing that they all are looking for something very specific. You're going to make sure that that's on your resume. And if you don't have that specific experience, you want to make sure that the things you've done, they align as closely as possible with something that you realize that folks are looking for. So that's why there's so much emphasis on finding the job because you have to know what to do with that resume and then what to be on it and then what they're kind of looking for when they're seeing what you've submitted. And then some of the places where you can start, if you're in college or headed there, you want to start with your career center. So they often have already established relationships with companies. Let's say, you go to a school that's engineering heavy. They probably already have engineering companies where you can go either work or intern or et cetera. Or let's say, you go to a school that's big on social work. They may already have different partners where you can go ahead and knock out your hours and things like that. So you want to make sure that you are getting in good with your career center. So schedule an appointment ASAP. I scheduled an appointment my first week on campus at both of the schools that I went to just to make sure that I had a familiar face in there because a lot of times these are people who can advocate for you. They're the company partners. They're the main point of contact. So if they're thinking of people when folks are looking, they can say, "Oh, I'm going to recommend Amanda because I know that she's XYZ." So you want to make sure you have somebody that can advocate for you. And then just consistently check because you never know what'll pop up. I know a lot of alum, when they're looking for interns or looking for people to hire, they're going to go back to their alma mater because they're like, okay, I know what the work ethic is. I know what type of students we accept. They're like, plus I'm the best thing smoking that came out of there. So if I came out of there, like I want to go back and look for somebody else because of course you're going to think that you're the best. So you're going to go look for the best. So I would always say to start there. Now, look everywhere though. I started with
That's funny. No, I did the same thing though. When I started my business, and I had someone reach out to me first about internship, and it wasn't at a school that I went to. But I'm like, oh, okay, I can do it. I can take interns. So I went to the school I graduated from to get interns, and that's how that was the first school I reached out to. But it is a way to get. Even like you said, they have a career center. Universities are a good place to start as a resource. Well, first of all, the first place is the library because Library of Life. The library has so many resources, and then even if you don't go to that school, they have resource centers still that can help people in the community that don't go to that school. You never know how you can get services because a lot of people who go to the school don't even take advantage of the career center, and the local community does. So it's always a good place to start at some of the local I'm just gonna say colleges, period.
You're absolutely right. And a lot of the things, even when I was in school, and I went to like a top school for HR, so a lot of what pops up when you're googling different things was from my school, but a lot of it was from other schools as well. So like you're saying, look everywhere. Like, don't limit yourself. This is just any of what we're talking about is just a starting point. This is just if you are feeling like you need to get on the right track or you really don't know where to start, this is kind of what that is. Because once you start to look in these different places, you're going to find other resources. And by all means, never put all your eggs in one basket. Never put all your eggs in just these 3 baskets. Put yourself out there.
I feel like most of the people who watching need a place to start, because some people don't know, and that's why I created this library of life. And this can help you also think outside the box, because maybe you only looked on LinkedIn, or maybe you only looked at on Indeed. Yeah. But this is a different way. And also, just like you said, helping you think outside the box. Or also, if you already know what company you want to work for, how about you go apply for an internship? Even if they're like, what if they don't go talk to somebody about, can you start an internship? Like, hey, I really want to work for this company and I'm okay with even starting to do the work for free. Is there an opportunity to do an internship? But that's something if you really want it. Yeah, I had to do a lot of internships, but it was because of school, but I did get paid for them because I applied for grants.
100%. And I was going to say, like, we're not working for free around here ever again.
I applied for grants, but that's for another live. But it's something that people do need to see, because some people don't know where to start. So yeah.
It's true. And then I like what you said about, finding somebody to talk to, because that's what LinkedIn is good for. Like, let's say it's your dream company. I don't know, what's a product I use all the time? Maybe like a hair product. Maybe TGIN is your dream company. You look and they don't have an internship. Okay, cool. That's where things like LinkedIn can come into play. You can find somebody either in their HR or, somebody. Obviously, don't reach out to somebody random. Like, somebody in their finance department is not going to be able to help you start an internship. But reach out to, maybe there's a member of management, or there's someone in HR, there's somebody in talent, there's somebody on the people team. These are kind of the places you want to go, because it happens all the time where they've never thought to have an intern, and then they get interest and they're like, oh wow, like I can actually put something out there and we'll get people to apply. And even if they don't have a really big budget.
That's me. I mean, I knew about interns, but I didn't even think about me going to look and somebody reached out to me. And then I constantly had different people reach out to me, but now I do have a contract with one school that I really work with. But I wasn't even thinking it until somebody reached out to me. And honestly, I know a lot of people who say they wasn't even thinking about having an intern until somebody reached out to them. Now more and more companies are doing it, but some companies still are not. So you never know until you try.
100%. You got to put yourself out there and do the work.
Yeah, don't get fed. That's what I'm always say.
100%. Mm-hmm. And then I just threw in Google Jobs and Indeed. These are also good places to start, even if I always recommend that if you see something, you go to that company's website to apply directly. Because in my experience, as a recruiter, we typically will post the job in multiple places, but sometimes you're actually only looking at 1 or 2 places. And of course, one of those places would be the actual website for the company you're applying. So like I just gave you the TGIN example. Let's say you find a TGIN job on Google Jobs. I would actually recommend going to the TGIN website, finding their career section and applying there directly. Again, apply wherever you see it, but if you
I agree with you
on there, you definitely want to apply there.
I agree with you. It's very much so. Maybe I might have a live on this when I do traveling. I always look at Skip Lag. I used to look at Kayak. I look at all the travel sites. But when I find something I like, I always go directly through the website. And honestly, even with the hotels, I look at Booking or Priceline.com, because now those places want you to book directly through them. And honestly, if you call and they'll price match, they want you to book directly through them. And now they're making it even easier to book directly through them. Like if you book directly through us, there's no deposit, things like that. And honestly, if you book directly through the company, you may have first priority. Like it's not something that's going through a third party. Even if it is just a system, it's something that is going directly through them. And you don't got to say how you found me because you found it directly through the site.
100%. 100%. I echo all of that. All right. All right. So now we get into the weeds of the actual resume, which I'm sure a lot of people are here for. So we'll spend the majority of our time on this slide. So you found a job that you want to apply to, you feel super good about it. Now what? So this is my actual resume that I've updated. It's not my most recent resume, but it's second to most recent. I actually just updated it today because I realized I didn't have my current experience on there, but this is up to date, as far as before that. Now, this is like very controversial, but I'm old school when it comes to resume. I do think that resumes should remain one page.
My resume looked just like your resume.
See, and this is the in the talent internships that I've done and the recruiter internships that I've done, if you didn't have a resume that looked like this, we weren't going to interview you. But
I took a resume. I took a resume and I took a workshop just like you're doing right now and presenting. I took a class like this. And honestly, whenever I submit my resume, or sometimes my resume is just out there, people call me because my resume is on LinkedIn and Indeed. And I actually got my first therapy job outside of the hospital like that. Like somebody found my resume. Yeah, that resume, it looks just like my resume. So I love it. I'm super excited even more because I'm telling people I want to send people to people who I trust and I feel like you'll get the quality experience you'll get with me with them. So I mean, I love this, but okay, I'm gonna just sit back and let you take the lead right now.
No, you're fine. This is helpful, and I'm glad that you're able to just echo what I'm showing because it is true. But I will say, as much as Sierra and I have resumes that look the same, you have to understand where you're applying. I've helped friends with resumes who are more in the creative field. They do design work, they're in multimedia work. Now your resume it'll look a lot different. You can have fun with that. Don't submit a boring resume and you're applying for an animator job. They're going to want to see color. They're going to want to see your design skill. If you know you're applying to a job that's design heavy, don't submit this basic resume because they're not going to want to see that. So you have to understand, and this will come with experience. The more you start applying to stuff, the more you start figuring out what you want and don't want to do, you'll realize like, hey, this resume is appropriate, this resume is not appropriate.
Yeah.
So, like we were talking about, resumes should remain one page. I feel like for me, as a recruiter, they're not gonna read the whole page. We're not able to. We just don't have time for it. We're gonna quickly start to skim. Certain things I'm looking for are education. I'm looking for experience. I'm looking for any gaps that might be in your resume because that to me is kind of just like, okay, well, what were you doing from this time? And it doesn't mean to lie or not have gaps because life happens. Sometimes you might actually have the gap, and that's okay. Just realize like, hey, as a recruiter, as somebody in HR, as an interviewer, I'm going to ask what you were doing for these 8 months because 8 months is a long time to not have been working. Now, if you're between jobs and let's say it's a month or two, that's different. But larger gaps, you are going to want to be able to explain. You don't want any gaps at all, but I also want you to be honest about your experience and about what you were doing. I never want you to fabricate anything about where you're working or start to change this month so that it goes straight into the next. Like, you don't want to do that. You want to be honest. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but leadership experience actually does count as experience. So when I was a student just starting out, as you can see, I got my first internship. This was summer of 2018. So I actually got an internship before I was even in college. I was in my senior year. I took a break from the internship for one day to go graduate. Like that's how quickly I had the internship because I started looking ASAP. They started the training and I'm like, cool, peace out. I'm not going to be there Tuesday. I'll never forget it. It was Tuesday, June 13th of that year. I'll never forget it. And I'm like, okay, well, that's that. I'm literally going to go across the stage. And then that next day I went back to work. So leadership experience counted as experience. Now I'm at the point where I have professional experience. I don't necessarily have to list the leadership roles that I was in, but all of that does count. Any extracurriculars. So let's say you're currently in high school, you're the president of the National Honor Society, or you're a captain of a sports team. These count as experiences because it shows your responsibility, it shows your leadership, it shows you as an individual, and it's a nice selling point for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I always do 2 to 3 bullets per entry. That's typically standard. You can do longer, but like I said, a recruiter is not going to read it all, so you don't want to put 10 bullets and the most important 3 are at the bottom or something like that. So I try to just summarize what I do in those 2 or 3 bullets. The time where you'll be able to talk more about it is in the interview. The resume, it tells the story and you want to summarize the full story as best as you can, but the truth of the matter is you're not going to be able to put everything you do on there, and they're aware of that. Think about when you read a job description, they might be 20 to 30 bullet points, but when you look at a resume, they kind of want to know, like, okay, I know all of what you're doing, and it might be miscellaneous things that you're doing, but what's the most impactful? What do you think is most important about what it is that you do?
Mm-hmm.
So I try to limit that to 2, minimum of 2, because you don't just want to put one thing that doesn't feel significant, but a max of 3, because anything past 3 they may miss what's super duper important.
Mm-hmm.
And then bullets should use the following structure. So A is the action verb. So that would be like create, expand, design, drive, lead, etc. T is your task or project. So this is what you're tasked with, what you're doing. Now with that, you want to quantify it as best as possible. So in my role, I'm a district manager. As a district manager, I'm over 6 Aldis. That's something that would be on my resume, which is on the current resume, which is not what you see, but it's there now. You want to quantify it as best as possible. If you're a teacher, okay, don't just put that you were a third grade teacher. Put, hey, I was a third grade teacher over 30 third graders or something like that. You want to quantify what you're doing because it better helps to understand and better frame, like, hey, okay, it helps with the scope of your responsibility. Because if you say that you led a team and it's just a team of 1, that's fine. But that's a lot different from leading a team of 3 or 4 or even 50. So you just want to make sure you're fully talking about that experience. And then your outcome. You want to talk about why it's important, some of the things that you've done. Don't just say you've led a team. Say, hey, I've led a team and we've done 3 successful projects. And then you want to talk about what that success looks like. You want it to make sense to somebody who does not work with the company and does not have that experience. Some things are more cut and dry. Like, let's say you got a manufacturing internship. Okay, you design projects for manufacturers to more effectively and efficiently get through the assembly line. That's cut and dry. I can understand that even though I don't work in manufacturing. But if you do have more of a specialized job, let's say engineering or something scientific, you want to make sure that the average Joe can read it. You want to make sure that somebody who's never worked in that field can pick up your resume and say, oh, wow, this is cool. So you want to, as much as you want to be specific, you want to make sure that it makes sense to somebody who's not a subject matter expert. And then your purpose. You want to talk about why that's important. I can say all day long, like, hey, here are the things I do at Aldi, but to somebody who doesn't work at Aldi, why is that important? Or even somebody who does, like, I don't care that you do that unless you convey your purpose, convey why that's important, why it's significant, why they need you. And then I'll say too, with a resume, you want to talk about why your contribution is different than anybody else's. I know me as a DM, not to toot my own horn, but I know what I bring to the table. I know me as an individual. I know that there is no other district manager who can manage a district how I do. And it doesn't mean that I'm better or that someone else is worse. I just know that I'm unique in what I bring to the table. So the resume is your time to show, like, hey, this is what I uniquely contributed, or this is, what helps me to stand out versus other people who were in that same role. And then the last thing I'll say with resumes, they take time. Editing will be constant. I'm still editing my resume to this day. Some days I just go in and add stuff or change. See, you too. Sometimes you're changing what's important. And then this, I want to talk about this as well. So I know we talked about the action verbs and we've talked about job descriptions, and I focus so much on the job search process because, again, if you're seeing an action verb that's across all of the job descriptions for roles that you're interested in, you want to make sure that those are on here because companies use what's called an applicant tracking system. So a lot of the time, there's not even a recruiter, like a real person. 90% of the time, it's not going to lay eyes on your resume first. It's going through a system, and the system is going to flag different resumes like, hey, this person seems like they would be a fit based on criteria that's set by the recruiter. So let's say, they're looking for a leader. If I'm looking for a leader, I'm going to be looking for keywords such as lead, drive,
manage,
direct. I don't know. There's a ton. So I'm looking for leadership qualities. I'm looking for somebody who's taking that initiative. So I'm going to put in keywords that are similar to that, which is why it's so important that you start looking at what type of roles, because by your third or fourth job description, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, I've seen this now 4 times, or I've seen this now twice. So I want to make sure that I include it. So when I was applying to jobs, I would literally have different resumes, because let's say, let's say there's something I did in one job that's not relevant to the one I'm applying to, but is relevant to a different one. I'm going to change the resume, because I want to talk about what I did that was relevant to that current role. So you want to draw connection. You want to draw like, hey, I know it's different. Like the tech company I was at.
Also, your description in the bullets. You want to change, because you can keep your same jobs, but you want to change the verbiage, like you're saying. Because I love that example of, when you were talking about those keywords, and I was thinking about, like, let's look at caretaker. We want to see now, like, nurturing, compassionate, homely. You want to see words that align with, rapport. You want to see, I'll say characteristics or things like that align with that, whatever that job is, because they will look at it. And then the more keywords you have, the more likely you'll be called back. Because honestly, one of my clients just told me they got an AI system now. I'm doing interviews, group interviews, and they're looking at your facial expression, seeing if you're lying, seeing if you're excited. Like they have an AI now doing the interviews. And I just said that, I was like, because people are AI is doing resumes, so why not have them do the interview as well? So now that's why I keep telling people, make stuff unique to you. Now uniqueness and being your authentic self is what's telling, because everybody else is being cookie cutter. But yeah.
100%. I agree with that 1000%.
And if you really want a job, why not take your time, 5-10 minutes, just to change out some words, update it for this job that you say you want, instead of keeping the same resume for every job, instead of keep doing the same, even just applying. Some people keep the same resume and play to 20 jobs. You didn't even try.
And as a recruiter, I can tell 100% if it's a general resume, or if somebody, because you can even go the extra mile. If there's really, really a job you want, you can actually go and explore a website to see some of the verbiage they use. You can see, like, okay, in their mission, they're saying this, in their value proposition, they're saying this. So it doesn't mean to, copy that stuff verbatim, but you want to make sure, like, hey, what I'm submitting aligns with
you care. I have a client too who they do write a cover letter, and they look at the mission statement, and they of companies, and they pull from the mission statements and put it in their cover letter. But that's how bad a person wants a job. But me, I just feel like it's just in me that I just do that. And then whenever I send, you may say this later, I don't want to say, but whenever I submit a resume or apply for a job, I always follow up within a certain amount of time. I send an email, I call, but I'm very communicative. I communicate a lot, communicate, honestly. Especially when I want a job. Even when I was younger, working at McDonald's, Taco Bell, I worked a lot of jobs. At all the fast food restaurants. Seriously, I overly communicated. Because why not?
You should. So you touch on something that's very important that I can just talk about now. So, like, after you apply, I always send a thank you. If I'm going in person and I kind of know who I'm interviewing with, most companies will tell you, like, hey, you're going to be interviewed by this person. I'll try to take a physical thank you card. It's just a nice gesture. It really does catch a lot of people. Plus, it really does. At the end of the day, it takes time. They're taking time to interview you. Like, you don't want to waste their time. And again, sometimes it's not a good fit. And I've experienced that as well, even in my current job, where it's like, man, I really enjoyed our time together. They're not good for our company at the moment, but I enjoyed the time. You want to make sure that people, you leaving them a lasting impression, that they're like, wow, I want XYZ person to have more experience, but they're a great person. You can tell that they care, because a lot of times too, if a job doesn't have something for you at the time, if they're looking again, I'm typically, when I'm hiring for my stores, if I don't have something at that current time, I'm thinking like, okay, who did I like last time that I couldn't offer a job? So I'm going to go back to them. So you want to make sure you put your best foot forward.
I have people, let me just say, I have people call me and say, hey, you did an interview with us 2 years ago. Hey, you did an interview with us 5 years ago. And it's so funny because this literally happens. And I'm like, are you still interested? I get people who call me and say, are you still looking for a job? Every year, I feel like ever since I got out, honestly, of my probation job, ever since I got into therapy, every year I have someone call me. Literally the last 5, maybe 6 years now, it's going on 6 years, people call me. And that's when when I quit my job, I was scared because I was going to bet on myself, so I was applying to jobs because I like to have backups and plan Bs. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But now I trust myself wholeheartedly. But in the beginning, when I quit my government job to start my business, I was scared and I applied to a lot of jobs. I updated my resume. I sent it out to a lot of people. I interviewed with a lot of people. And some people I said yes to, and then I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And that's my truth, but they still call me to this day. They still call me to this day.
You're living proof of that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I do that. When I'm like, okay, I need somebody who I can bring onto the team. This is a person who I really enjoyed. I want to leave a lasting impact. And that comes from, being prepared. Resume is half the battle. I didn't include it here because we was going to be here for 3,000 hours, but interview prep, maybe we'll do a live on that, because that's important too. And that, that's something that you definitely have to do. You have to make sure that when you're going, that you're knowledgeable. Not just about yourself, but about the company. You have to do your research. They're going to want to know that you've looked into it.
I was going to say, if you do the research, because I'm telling you need to do the research on the company, because they have sites and even Google reviews where former employees talk about their time there. Sometimes it's real, because sometimes it's positive feedback. Sometimes it's mixed reviews, but it's still an opportunity to understand what you may be walking into. But you want to make sure the company, I'm going to just say, aligns with you. So when you do walk into the interview, you can be as authentic as you possibly can. Because honestly, 5 years ago when I was doing those interviews, I was just being myself. I was talking about what I can bring to the table. And I'm just saying what I said. I have a very good ability to gain rapport with people. It's easy for me to talk to people. It's easy for me to calm people down. It's easy for me to be a therapist. Basically, it's natural to me, and they can see it because we're experiencing it right there in that minute. So I'll just say, honestly, the best interview skills or tips I can give you is work for a company that aligns with who you are, so you can be as authentic as you possibly can in the interview. So you're not code switching and you're not trying to be something you're not. That's my advice on the interview skills. But yeah,
I agree with all of that. You want to present your full self. Like, I know some people, I see we getting close to time, so I'll keep it quick. But I know some people, like, as you can see, I wear braids. When my hair is not in braids, I have a fro that's really big. I have 4C hair. People will go the extra mile. I've seen them put on wigs. I've seen them, if they've had braids, take down the braids. Listen, I'm showing up with my braids because I'm not going to pull up in a month and y'all like, hold on.
Who's this
braids, exactly. If my braids are a problem now in your interview process, that's not a company I want to work at, because I wear braids the majority of the year. It's a huge part of me. At this point, I think it's a huge part of just my aesthetic, because I love having my hair braided. Like, that's the best thing for me. It makes the most sense. And I just like the way they look. So I'm like, well, this is me on a regular day. So I'm not gonna, of course, you're gonna, make sure you're well groomed. You're gonna make sure you have on your, I don't want to call it Sunday's best, but you want to put on your business professional attire. That doesn't mean
no, but what you're saying, whatever aligns with whatever you're applying for, because like you saying, a painter ain't gonna wear the same thing as somebody going into corporate America, but you know what you're going into. Okay. And even the nurse, sometimes nurses don't wear. I know a lot of time my friend, she be like, I love interviewing for a nurse because I can just put on my scrubs because she's comfortable in the scrubs. Like she loves wearing her scrubs. Yeah. And for me now, I just be myself because I can wear whatever because I work for myself. But wear what works for you and what relates to the field that you're going into, and hopefully aligns with you so much that you can just pull out one of your best outfits in your closet, one of your favorites, and not to say this is your Sunday's best, like she said, but something that you're comfortable in, something that you would wear on an everyday basis.
100%. I agree completely. All right, let me keep going. So cover letters, I didn't put a lot of information here. As you can see, this is the last cover letter I wrote, which is in 2020, which will literally be 5 years ago as of next week. I don't typically submit them. They're optional. They're not 100% necessary. I will say, though, in my experience as a recruiter, if there's a role that you really, really, really want, let's say you're identical to another applicant. Y'all have the same years of experience. Y'all might even be coming from the same school. That might be the deciding factor. So that could be what gets you the job over someone else. So if like, okay, if I get this job, whatever I'm doing, like they can have me show up tomorrow and I'm ready, or they can have you show up that same day and you'll be ready, I would definitely write a cover letter for it. But it's just a nice way to bring your resume to life. What they're mostly looking for in a cover letter, obviously, is your grammar. They're looking at your tone. They're looking at how you're speaking, but also they're looking at how you're thinking about your experience. So again, it's bringing that to life. And then I put this on the last slide, but I didn't say it, but I'm going to say it here. Have a second opinion before you submit anything. Before you submit a cover letter, have somebody read it. There are people like myself who specialize in it, but even if you don't go to somebody who specializes in it, have a friend, have a, someone you can trust. Obviously, don't have your auntie read you a cover letter and your auntie ain't been to work in 40 years. No offense to auntie. You have to do what makes sense. Maybe if you just having somebody look for it in grammar, let's say you're in school, you could have one of your friends, that's really good at English or really good at literature. You could have them to look over it and they can give you some feedback. But you want to get a second, third, maybe even a fourth opinion before you submit, because there might be something that you missed.
I agree.
But yeah, I don't want to end abruptly, but there's a lot more to say. Again, this is just the starting place for it. Thank you all for your time. So Scholar Stu, Sierra will be sending you more information about our go live date is tomorrow. So I've been doing this unofficially for 8 years, and I think it's time for me to just formalize it, get it out there, make it easier for people to access the information, make it easier for people to assess the services. I'm super excited about it. As you can see, I'm passionate about it. I can talk about it for hours and hours on end. But thank you all for listening. I'm sure Sierra will open it up for any questions we have in our last couple minutes.
Yeah, I'll open it up to any questions. So if anybody has any questions before we end, please drop them now. And while we wait for any questions to come in, I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of this with me. I can see your passion in this, and I know it's going to go far, because honestly, I feel like that's the difference between a lot of companies. The longevity, it's in the passion behind whatever you're doing. And when you can talk about what you love for all day, like I can talk about this all day. I can talk about this for hours. That's how you know you're doing the right thing, honestly. So thank you. No, I was just saying we can wait a little bit more, but anything else before we end the live that you want to leave with the audience?
I would just say, as much as the job search process is a lot, when I was finding my full-time role, it took a couple months. I'll be honest. It does not happen overnight. Sometimes it does, but you want to make sure that you're staying dedicated, you're steady showing up, you're steady doing what makes sense, and that you're consistently working towards it, because it's not just going to happen. A job is not just going to be handed to you. A perfect resume won't be handed to you. These are things that you have to work on. But then once you get to the point where I'm at, it's like, okay, I know what to do to update my resume, or hey, I got a job once, I can get a job again. So you just have to start somewhere. Everybody has to start somewhere. When I first started, I didn't have a ton of support, but I wouldn't have found that support. I was very intentional about finding it. I was very intentional about talking to the right people to help me. So if you're here, you're definitely in the right place. I'm happy to help any way that I can. And maybe the basis that I've given you is enough. Take it and run with it. I'm happy.
Like I mean, yeah, everything that you talked about is exactly what I would talk about with somebody. And I feel like the only difference is sometimes I would do what you do. I would make the resume. But in this case, if they want to do it themselves, they have the information. Literally everything you said is exactly what I would do. And then even before we get to the resume, is this something that is aligned with what you want to do? So yeah, I mean, but you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But so if you don't want to drink, Scholars Too can help you on your journey of college or career, trades, resume. Yeah, so thank you for all of this. I know for a fact it's going to be beneficial, and all of AP's contact information will be on YouTube tomorrow. Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for joining, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.